It's been 2 years since Dragon Ball Super landed on our screens. Has it made any difference to the fandom? Hey guys, MasakoX here. Last Friday marked the 2-year anniversary from when Dragon Ball Super was first announced. We had just seen the release/teasing of the movie Resurrection F, and we were all tantalized at the prospect of new Dragon Ball content. At the time, we were probably going to expect a new movie every 2 to 3 years. And honestly, that would have been fine by me. A chance for Dragon Ball fans across the world to gather at cinemas and show the mainstream media that the Dragon Ball community is worth talking about. Also, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty cool seeing a Dragon Ball Z movie at the Empire Cinema in Leicester Square, you know, where all the premieres in London take place. That was pretty nifty. But no, there was gonna be more. April 28th, 2015. Toei Animation dropped without any prior warning that there was going to be a new series of Dragon Ball. Needless to say, the entire community was stunned, mesmerized, and slightly concerned. Slightly concerned, Masako? Yeah, slightly concerned. Well, it's all down to the fact that in the last few years, companies, especially Toei, have been really riding that nostalgia dollar. The official press release from Toei is riddled with nostalgic soundbites. Just the right amount to tweak them nostalgia nerves. Toei Animation has announced production on Dragon Ball Super, the first all-new Dragon Ball television series to be released in 18 years. Following the recent events of the hit feature film Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F, Dragon Ball Super will debut in Japan in July 2015. Reuniting the franchise's iconic characters, Dragon Ball Super will follow the aftermath of Goku's fierce battle with Majin Buu as he attempts to maintain Earth's fragile peace. Overseen by Dragon Ball's original creator Akira Toriyama and produced with Fuji Television, Dragon Ball Super will draw on its historic past to create a bold, new universe, welcoming to fans and endearing to new viewers. A lot of triumphant fanfare there and quite a few nods to its past. Granted, press releases are meant to do that. They're meant to give news to the mass media whilst providing some context to those publications that aren't initiated with Dragon Ball. But I imagine that a lot of you fans out there were reading the press release directly instead of actually seeing it on other websites where it's slightly diluted. You were getting the full, raw news. I remember that I was at a freelance gig when the news broke. I actually had to take a break, no lie, to find out whether this news was true or whether it was a hoax. Over the years, we've had many fake announcements about new series of Dragon Ball, so I got burnt many times, so I was naturally skeptical, as well as many other aborted projects and flights of fancy by the community. Not this time though. This was the real deal. There were pictures of Masako Nozawa and many other key members of staff of the Dragon Ball Super series standing in a line, very happy at their announcement. And they were right to be so. I mean, I would be, considering the last 2 movies made a killing at the box office. Toei likes money, and I think that you like money too. If the movies went so well, then let's make a series and make even more money! 2 years on, Dragon Ball Super is still here. It hasn't been abandoned, cancelled, or is showing any signs of it stopping anytime soon. It's certainly had its fair share of production issues and controversies, but on the whole, it's weathered the hardest part of any new production. We're almost at 100 episodes, which is good for any anime series. In fact, if you combine the episode count for the original Dragon Ball, Z, GT, and now Super, we've got a total of about 596 episodes. That's a lot. And even if you took GT out of the episode count because you have some issues with GT, it's still over 500 episodes. I mean, it's not as much as One Piece, granted, but still, it's a pretty big magnum opus. As of the making of this video, we are well into the Universe Survival Arc, which is Super's 5th official story arc. By now, it's safe to say that we've got a pretty good feeling of the direction that Super is going to take going forward. It's going to involve more and more the way of the gods, how they go about their daily business, and how they interact with the mortal realms. Whilst Dragon Ball Z put all the gods on a pedestal, Super has been doing everything in its power to show that gods are not as competent as you might have first thought. Think about it. Back in Dragon Ball Z, the Supreme Kai, Shin, looked so omnipotent and powerful and all-knowing. As far as we were concerned at the time, he was the be-all and end-all of everything in the entire universe. Oh, how wrong were we? He's not even close to being the boss. In fact, Shin is pretty lousy as a Supreme Kai. All of our feelings and sentiments towards that celestial being have been completely decimated. And now we have to just sit back and relax as we watch Dragon Ball Super's scope get exponentially bigger, as we are now taking other universes into consideration, not just ours. But don't worry, there is a lot of story potential here, both good and bad. It's bad because most of our concepts and understandings that we've developed over the last 15-20 years have now been completely changed, but it's also good at the fact we got something new after 15 and 20 years. We can now build new concepts together as a connected community thanks to the internet. I'm excited about this because it allows us all to connect at the same time and then actually share our new feelings and reactions about Dragon Ball Super at once as soon as it comes out in Japan. There's no delay. There's no years of speculation about misguided information and translations. This is all pretty much direct from the source. That's great. Now, I can't talk about Dragon Ball Super without talking about its initial issues at the beginning of its production. It's the worst possible time for any issues to occur, right at the beginning. It doesn't matter if your show has 1 or 1 million viewers. If your series, nay, your statement of intent, is hampered by issues regarding quality, then it's going to struggle for a very long time, perhaps even forever. One thing's for sure, it certainly blew open the door regarding the working conditions of Japanese animators. There is a ton of pressure to be had. One Western animator in Japan, Henry Thurlow, spoke out in March 2015, which is probably around the same time Dragon Ball Super was being conceived in private, explained the extreme working conditions that a high-profile series such as Naruto had to endure on a daily basis. Let's just be clear, it's not a tough industry, it's an illegally harsh industry. They don't pay you even remotely minimum wage. They overwork you to the point where people are vomiting at work and having to go to the hospital for medicine. They demand that you come in whenever they realize a deadline isn't going to be met. That probably means about a month and a half of non-stop work without a single day off. No one talks or gets lunch together or anything. They just sit and work in complete silence and seem uninterested in changing this. Oh, okay, well, I guess in the long run they must make a pretty penny for doing all this. I mean, it must all add up, right? I mean, it has to. Why else would they put up with this? Well, yeah, he continues. The amount of money you earn from day to day changes, since it's based on how many frames you draw. Each month at Pierrot, I earn about $1,000. Each month at my previous slave labor studio, I earned about $300 per month. So yeah, deadlines are tough. It doesn't help that the first 2 arcs of Super were already rehashes of the first 2 movies of the Super Saga. Dozens of experienced and talented animators decided to work on the new One Piece Gold film instead of working on Dragon Ball Super, which meant they didn't have to retread old ground that they had done on Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. That left relatively less experienced animators to have to foot all the work, and ultimately it all suffered. Understandably, there are going to be issues regarding this tactic, and Toei didn't really seem all that inclined to deal with it. They thought and prayed that things would work out, but they didn't. It was a complete PR disaster. Thankfully though, the animation has improved a lot since 2015, and now it's reached a point where I can say that it's consistently decent. It doesn't have to be really good all the time, it just has to be decent and solid. Anyway, that's enough about the animation matter. So what has Super provided to the community? Well, I believe a lot. It's taken a while, but the Universe Survival Arc has actually given us an idea of what Super intends to be in the long run. It has, so far, a good balance of giving the side characters a time to shine, developing the main characters, as well as world building. That's something that's carried the series from the start, the world building, and ultimately, I think, saved the series from total annihilation. The fact that we saw a brand new reality open up before us, you know, the whole 12 universes thing, it gave us a whole new sense of wonder and excitement. For years, we thought we'd reached the limits about what a Dragon Ball story could provide to us, but, you know, we were wrong. Now we've got 11 other universes to explore, as well as more of our own, and a whole new hierarchy of heavenly beings, replicating the feelings that we had when we realized that King Kai wasn't the big cheese of the heavenly realm, all the way back in the Majin Buu saga. Now what has been one of the most successful parts of Dragon Ball Super then? Well, I think it's been Toru Taro, the guy who's been dealing with the Dragon Ball Super manga. Now I'm gonna be honest here, I haven't read the manga, at least not yet. The reason why is because I'm waiting for the paperback release to come out, which hopefully should be arriving any day now. Oh, I'm gonna have so much fun with this, and I can't wait for the second volume to come out. When's it gonna come out? Oh. Well, okay, I'm gonna go back and hibernate then. So what has Toyotaro provided the series? Some fresh and critical thinking. Even for one of the most talented entertainers slash artists, Toriyama has reached a limit in terms of creativity. Enter Toyotaro, who is quite possibly one of the best emulators of the Toriyama style. In an interview he did with Anime News Network back at New York Comic Con last year, Toyotaro explains the pressures that he has on his shoulders trying to emulate Toriyama's style. What I've received from Toriyama is literally words on paper, without drawings or anything. So when I'm reading it, I have to fill in the blanks as far as the specifics are concerned. I think of what kinds of expressions the characters wear, which way they're looking when they say a certain line. Many times Toriyama-sensei doesn't give me specific feedback on the details that I fill in, so I put a lot of thought into those aspects, knowing that my interpretation is what the readers will see. Fundamentally, I don't deviate from the major plot lines that Toriyama's laid down. As far as the plot getting from A to B, that's written as Toriyama wrote it. But as far as the details between those plot points, I'm free to fill them in myself. The parts I really want my fans and readers to look at are the comedic gags, because I'm pretty free to create those. Toyotaro's filler material is something to behold. Remember those cards? That was Toyotaro's idea. He has been able to breathe new life into the super manga, and at points managed to outshine the anime. Now it's gotten to a point where Toei has recognized this and offered Toyotaro the opportunity to work with Toriyama for ideas for the main show. A chance to design characters and plot points for the main story, not just having to try and emulate it in the manga. As a result, we've managed to get new, varied and diverse designs for the Gods of Destruction. I think that this new innovation and sharing of ideas is what will save Super in the long run and make it flourish. They can feed off each other's contributions to create something truly inspirational and enduring and endearing. I'm excited. I think that this new arc and Super going forward is going to be great. At least I hope so. So what do you guys think? Do you like what Toyotaro's been doing with the series? Have you actually forgiven Super for its initial production issues? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later.